Grayson Rodriguez, Yuri Perez, Bobby Miller. Can any of these uber-talented young arms make the leap to being an ace this season? We have the answer to that and more on this action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino. You can find me on Twitter at DomMartinoFB. Here, as always, with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Adney, and you can find him on Twitter at Matthew_Adney. If you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you could do that for us. And guess what? If you do decide to do that, you take a screenshot of that rating and review and you send it to us over on the Subtext platform, and you'll have a chance to join our coveted listener league for this season. But guess what, guys? Today is a big day. We have 4 more winners we're excited to announce. So if you are a Subtext subscriber, listen up. The next 4 winners are Nate C, Hunter M, Kyle R, and Barhart S. Guys, check your emails. You should have an email there to sign up for the league. We are truly excited to see you guys. And guess what? We're still giving away 4 more spots on March 20th. So get those screenshots to us on the Subtext platform, and you have that chance. And guys, lastly, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that little bell below. It subscribes to the channel and gives you notification every time we drop a new episode. And today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way for you to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use the code, all lowercase, LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. And guys, we are back. Starting pitchers, target and avoid, part 2. As you know, Matt and I specialize in head-to-head categories. So when we're talking about this, we always have that spin on it. When we're talking about our rankings, that's where we're coming from as well. But Matt, why don't you start off here? These first 5 names, and this is what we love to do. So take it away.
All right, let's do this. Also, congratulations to everybody that so far has a spot in the listener league.
Congratulations, everybody.
So, yeah, let's hop in this. Framber, Valdez, Freddie Peralta, Blake Snell, Logan Gilbert, and Grayson Rodriguez. Framber Valdez, we're going to talk about later. Freddie Peralta, honestly, love that dude. My guy
also
is just
maybe talk about later a little bit, right?
Completely forgot. So
You're
Dom
good.
just took the first 2 names out of my mouth. Yeah. Blake Snell, love him as long as he gets a spot. Let's put it that way. You know, we know he's uber talented, but the ups and downs of his career with his ERA, his whip, things like that, just don't know if he's going to be consistent, especially with the late start, why his ADP and in our personal rankings have fallen so much due to the fact of, is he going to find a team soon? Is it going to delay, or is he going to be rushed back? Those are all the questions, and both are just not great situations for a higher draft pick. But I do like the draft pick now at, pick 19, where I had him ranked as number 7 to start the season before, this long journey without a job. So I kind of like it now. We'll see. Depends on the landing spot now. I'm hearing the Giants, which would be my favorite landing spot.
Yes, I'm hearing the same thing.
And then we got Logan Gilbert. Love Gilly. One of my favorite nicknames. Honestly, Gilly has all the upside in the world. I just hope that he can kind of get it together, get that ERA back down, get the strikeouts a little bit up, and kind of just do more things that I think Gilbert can do. I think there is another level. I don't think it's defined yet, but we shall see. He's a nice pick at this round, a great pitcher. Honestly, I'd rather him as a 3. This is a little rich for my blood, but I'm not mad at the pick, depending on who's going around. He's just not my target for this group of guys. And then lastly, we got Grayson Rodriguez, young stud. Love the dude. Throws gas, throws everything. Great team. Fantasy upside for year 2 is fantastic. Honestly, I can't say one negative thing about the guy except for his start. But the thing is, he was able to come back, figure it out, and be awesome. So I think year 2, right stepping stones, and he's going to have a fantastic season. Love the price too.
Matt, strong takes there on everybody. Just, do my due diligence on everyone. Blake Snell, Matt, you nailed it. Landing spot, really big question there. Ace caliber upside, coming off the board, pick 62. Love that pick right now. You pair him with a Logan Webb, a Max Fried type, just somebody that's a little bit more stable. That works out great for you. Logan Gilbert gets to learn from the Luis Castillos, gets to work with the George Kirby's, great pitching, staff, great pitching coaching over there. Seattle's a great park to pitch in. Think he's going to be solid this year. You can take him as your number 2 and feel great about it. Matt, you nailed down Grayson Rodriguez. A lot of pressure on him in the first half, didn't come through. Second half was a monster. I think he follows suit. Very, very safe SP2. Let's move on to these next 5. We have Jesus Luzardo, 22nd SP, pick 82. Zach Eflin, 23rd starting pitcher, pick 83 almost. Bobby Miller, 24th starting pitcher, pick 83. Yuri Perez, 25th starting pitcher, almost pick 86. And then we have Justin Steele, starting pitcher, 26, going around pick 91. So now with this group, Luzardo was somebody we're going to talk about a little bit later in the episode. Zach Eflin is somebody that, really broke out last year, got the richest contract ever given to a Tampa Bay Ray player. So we all kind of knew, coming in like, hey, there might be something here. Let's keep an eye on him. I think he started to, buzz up a little bit towards the end of draft season last year, made a little bit of noise, and, some people might have gotten towards the end of the draft, but mainly was a waiver wire guy, right? So with Zach Eflin last year, with the 16 wins, the 350 ERA, over a K per 9, I think the underlying stuff looks pretty good. The FIP was a 301, kind of shows you that that's kind of legit. I have him lower than this. I have, Zach Eflin closer to being like an SP3-4 type of guy. I'm really happy if I can get him as my SP4, which isn't really happening. So I don't see a lot of Zach Eflin these days, but there is, he can basically repeat what he did last year, and I would not be shocked. And, Zach Eflin's not super old either, only going to be 30 years old this year. I think he's going to be all right. Bobby Miller, all the upside in the world. I feel like we talked about him to nauseum, but I do love him. 4+ pitches. The Dodgers have announced they're staying 5-man rotation, so that works out great for him. I think he can have a monster year. Basically, same thing goes for Yuri Perez. He was dealing with a little bit of nail injury this spring, but has still looked awesome. Love Yuri Perez. Him, Bobby Miller, Grayson, I think they all break out this year. You can feel very comfortable. When I'm in a draft, I want at least one of them. If I don't walk out with at least one of those 3, I'm not happy. Justin Steele, somebody who's interesting. I don't have like a crazy amount of confidence in him, but I think like Zach Eflin, we can kind of see a similar baseline. Justin Steele struggled to the finish line last year. That's why Matt and I kind of told you to sell. He had never done it before, so we did not trust it. You probably, if you sold on him, listen to us, you probably made out like a bandit and won your league because Justin Steele was killing everybody at the end of last season. But do I think Justin Steele could be a 3.5, 3.6 ERA guy, right around a K per 9 with like a 1.20 whip? Yeah, sure. Why not? But you're not drafting him at starting pitcher 26, pick 91, and, making profit off of that. But that's what I got in these guys, Matt. Before you jump in here, though, real quick, and maybe throw a little bit of haterade around, we do want to hit you guys with an ad real quick.
PrizePick is a largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They are the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It is just you against the numbers instead of battling thousands of players, including pros and sharks. You just pick more or less than 2 to 6 players, stats, projections, and just let the winnings roll in. Exploring my skills this God, I'm all over the place today. Exploring my skills on PrizePicks this season adds an extra layer of excitement to my daily fantasy sports. With just a few taps, you can transform $10 into $1,000. PrizePicks is incredibly user-friendly. You can also make selections and submit them in under 30 seconds, which is absolutely sweet. As the host of Locked On Fantasy Baseball, here are some solid picks for you this season. Opt for higher than 5 strikeouts for Logan Webb in a game. Honestly, I take that bet every day. That pick every day. Choose higher than 0.5 for Ellie De La Cruz on a stolen base, which we all know that's a smart pick. Consider a season-long pick of higher than 50 stolen bases for Bobby Witt. Last I checked, they had projected to do about 43. So that's a serious, nice bet right there. Pick, and you don't want to miss out on that. Download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB for your first deposit match up to $100. Again, download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for the first deposit match up to $100. Prize picks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. And Locked On has launched its first ever national 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top stories of the day of your local experts and our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national 24/7 streaming channel. Introducing the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, Diamond Club on Sebtex, your ultimate fantasy baseball companion. Dive into this offseason with Dom and I as we provide you tier-based rankings with over 100 outfielders and 100 starting pitchers ranked. We'll also have exclusive access to our prospect rankings, sleepers, breakouts, busts, personalized draft grades. And when you have those burning questions, we've got the answers. And as the season unfolds, rely on our dynamic content to get real-time alerts right to your phone, including waiver wire rankings, instant call-up alerts, injury reactions, and a whole lot more. Stay ahead of your fantasy leagues by joining the Diamond Club on Subtext today, where our path to victory begins. Subscribe now. Elevate your fantasy baseball experience to new levels. And we got one last drawing, 4 more spots to give away. And you're not going to want to miss out on that because, quite honestly, this is going to be a fun league and it's going to be a good time. I know most of these people. I talked to you a lot on Subtext. Your good time. I'm going to love the crowd so far. I'm super excited to have a good time with everybody. So, yeah, but let's get back into baseball. Let's stop self-promoting. And, let me get my take in here, even though I've talked a lot.
Go for it, brother. You got it. Go for it.
I got a little endurance today, even though I stumbled through that whole ad break. So you talked about, my boy Jesus Luzardo. I'm going to talk about him later. Eflin, honestly, as much as I like him as a player, I don't foresee him doing as well as he did last year. He's just not my pick. Like, he's a guy that he's not my avoid out of this category. He's one of the guys. There's just a guy that's a little bit more out of this 15 that I avoid at all costs, and we'll get into him. But Eflin is just like somebody I just don't have faith. He managed to stay healthy for the first time in a while. He really hasn't been able to do those things. He hasn't been able to really break out. He's shown stints of being really good. And, maybe he got tampered and maybe the Rays figured something out. But I need to see that happen again before I pick him as like pretty much my SP2. And I just don't feel great about that. As the 23rd, starting pitcher right now. Bobby Miller's great, been rising in him all offseason. Dom, you did a great job. Yuri Perez is somebody I do want to highlight more than what Dom did. He tracks on everything I like about a first-year pitcher. Okay, came out, was great, got figured out, and then made adjustments. I feel like he would have kept rolling too if he didn't get set down for, innings limits around the All-Star break. So he just would have kept rolling out there and it just would have been fantastic. I don't foresee a serious limitation on his innings this year. I think he's going to pitch anywhere from 150 to 170 innings, and he's probably going to have 200 Ks to go with it. So, like, he's a solid SP2, and honestly, he's going off the board as what? The 25th?
Oh, 80, pick 85. Pick 85.
Pick 85, 25th pitcher, which is like your SP3. That is an insane value for him at SP3. And I pick him over Eflin. I pick him over
Easy.
Yeah, quite a few guys, and I'm just loving the upside. So, like, get him as a 3 is fantastic. He, checks all my boxes. And then, Steele, I just don't think he's going to be as good as we're all expecting. I'll take the hate on the tubes and the comments. It's fine. He's not my cup of tea. Like, another guy I'm not avoiding. If he falls to the right price, I'll do it. There's just other guys around him that I just rather pick, especially in the next bracket. So, like, there's the thing. There's a few guys in the next round and then tomorrow's episode that I like a lot more that I'll just pick over Justin Steele all day. So yeah, but I'm going to roll into these last 5 guys here. Joe Ryan, Dylan Cease, Joe Musgrove, Cole Reagans, Kodai Senga. Joe Ryan, I don't like his second half performance. Was it fatigue? Was it the league figured him out? he's not he's not blowing you away. He's more deceptive than he is anything else. And maybe they just figured it out on him. And I'm not sure, but I just don't like the price. I would like to see him go a little bit later, and I'd feel comfortable with it. But right now, it's just not my cup of tea. Joe Ryan has a talent. If he can get things done in the first half, if it's repeatable, it's gonna be great. But I just not for the price, not a 27th pick, 27th pitcher 3, pick 92. Dylan Cease, I'm gonna talk about later. Little tease. He's the guy I'm avoiding in all cases. If you have him on your team, red alert should be going off. Joe Musgrove, love. I'd pick him over everybody I've named so far. In terms of the last 3 guys, Musgrove is great. Musty's musty. The only thing I don't like is the win potential's down now that the empty space of Soto. And lastly, Reagans and Senga. Senga, I don't need to say much. He's hurt. Going to start on the IL, from my understanding. So
yeah, he's not going to throw for at least 3 weeks. It's a
you're
posterior capsule strain in his right shoulder. Don't like the sounds of that. Very reminiscent of Carlos Rodon last year.
Yeah, and Cortez. So this can linger a little bit, and he might not pitch till the middle of May, and that's if he's 100%. So yeah, just not great. Not great news. Cole Reagans, there's not much I need to say. We all know what Cole Reagans can do, what he could be. He's very volatile, though. I have a feeling he has a very high ceiling, but a very, very low floor. He wasn't able to get it done when he was with the Rangers. He comes over to Kansas City and was able to perform and be fantastic. So it's 2 sides of that coin where which one is real? Which one is the real Cole Reagans? I like to think it's the one on Kansas City, but it still lingers in the back of my mind that it could be, where he's not as good and he doesn't live up to this draft price. He's not a bust because I still will take the shot because I like the upside more than I fear the floor. But ultimately, Cole Reagans is a very volatile pick. I love Cole Reagans, though, at the end of the day.
Yeah, real quick, I'll hop in here. Joe Ryan, I probably like a little bit more than Matt. The second half was a real struggle for him. He only threw 147 innings in 2022, got to 161 last year. Think it was a lot of fatigue. The stuff is pretty good. Really not known for his fastball, more known for his control and his breaking stuff. I think Joe Ryan winds up being more on track of that 2022 season where we see like a 3.5 ERA around that K per 9, maybe a little bit higher. And the control, even though the ERA is bad last year, the control is something that, like I said, Ryan's known for. So the whip can get down to like a sub 110, so like you're talking like a 109 whip. I think Ryan, there's room to profit if you're getting him as your SP3. Not my favorite guy, but if you got him as your low end SP3, not really too worried. Cease, as Matt mentioned, we're going to dig into in the next segment here. Joe Musgrove, the spring training's been atrocious. I don't know if anyone's seen any Joe Musgrove, but it's been so bad. I mean, I'm not letting it sway me too much. You shouldn't let really too much of anything in spring training sway you with veteran guys like that. Just want to see him be a little bit better. Want to see Joe Musgrove be a little bit better. Yeah, of course. Hop in, brother.
So I will come to defense. Like, one thing we got to remember too is for these older pitchers, they're trying new things out. This is like,
of course,
more of like a rehab stint for them. So like, I don't grade them as hard as I do the younger dudes.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I was gonna say.
Sorry,
no, you're fine. You're fine.
I just didn't want the fans to get a little twisted with that. Like, we got to remember these guys are just gonna try new things to see if they can tinker to make themselves more relevant and have their careers linger a little bit longer. Musgrove is up there. So just if you see velo dip, then we hit the panic button.
Yeah, no, and I was gonna say the velo looks fine. I was pretty much gonna basically say what you know, you're good. I was pretty much gonna say all that. Musgrove, not really worried yet, but the thing is, let me see that last start. Because if he is tinkering and doing stuff like that, the last start should be like, okay, let me just do what I need to do to let me see the success. So just want to see that with Joe Musgrove, especially coming off the injury last year. Reagans, love him. I think the improvements are real. He specifically made improvements. If you look into it, he, went to, I forget whether it was Driveline or Tread. He went to one of those places in the offseason, worked with him to get his slot right for the velocity. He was just kind of ignored in Texas with all those other new incoming pitchers like Heaney and DeGrom, and everybody kind of got lost in the mix. They shoved him off to KC. KC saw what all those improvements, got it out of him. I think he's even higher. I think he's hitting 102, 103 in spring training. Numbers have been dominant. Senga, moving him down sub 50s, going with all those other injury guys, and that's really it on him. But next, Matt's breaking out the haterade again. I'm gonna, maybe dig into it a little bit myself before we do some targets and avoids. We do have a quick ad for you guys though. And guys, of course, we're talking about eBay Motors. Passion, drive, patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's guaranteed fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay's guaranteed fit is only available to U.S. customers. All right, guys, so let's hop back in. And I kind of said I was thinking about joining Matt on, the haterade side of things. So you know what? Let's do it. Let's talk about Framber Valdez. It's not that I don't like Framber Valdez, and if you're playing in a league with like quality starts, he's a master at that. So, kind of disregard this. But as the 17th starting pitcher, pick 53, a guy who struggled to the finish line last year, and we can't use the he's young or doesn't have the experience excuse, because Valdez has done it. He's been there before. So it was quite concerning to me when you kind of saw him, limp to the finish line. I think the ERA is going to be, mid threes. He's, he kind of did the Sandy Alcantara last year where he pitched so many innings that the strikeouts looked really good, but he's not really like known for striking guys out. So I'm not counting on a K per nine specialty. And then, for the last couple of years, it's a, 115 whip, a 112 whip. So he's not blowing you away. I think there's so much upside at taking your SP2 with all the names we spoke about today. The Freddie Peraltas, the Jesus Luzardos, the young guns with Grayson, Bobby, Yuri, and Cole Reagans. Love them all over Framber Valdez. So he's just somebody I'm kind of fading this year.
I hear all your points. I don't know if I'm fading him. I mean, the ERA was pretty much on par with the FIP. The win
but as your
potential is
SP2,
wonderful with Houston.
That's true. Give you the wins. Give you the wins.
And I mean, he had a K per nine. Like, he had a K for every inning he hit. Like, every inning he was in. Like, I'm not mad at this. Even the whip was a 1-1-2. Like, I'm not mad at these numbers. Now, is he my favorite of the group? Absolutely not. But I can understand the safety blanket for Framber Valdez. So this one, I have to disagree. Like, he's probably, out of all the names within this group, like, he is the safest pick outside of your next guy. That I feel is actually, he's even more safe because he's very volatile too. So, I mean, I'm teasing Dom's next guy, which we'll get into in a little bit, but he's a safety blank. He's the safest guy I feel in this group. And, I understand completely why, but it is what it is. Let's go. I'm going to change turns, even though I love being Mr. Negative. It's so much fun to just get not only drink the haterade, but for everybody, give me haterade. But I got to talk to love. And I got love for Jesus Luzardo. Now, yes, there is a chance he might get traded. I don't see it happening because they gave up quite a bit to get the kid, and it's not like he didn't perform. But I mean, it's Miami, and they do stupid things, and they play stupid games, and they win stupid prizes. So, we'll see. But I love Jesus Luzardo. One of the top prospects in baseball at a certain point. The ERA was right on par with the FIP at a 3.58 to a 3.55 FIP, fielding independent pitching. What would he do if he had an average defense behind him? So it's legitimate. The whip is high. He just loves to strike everybody out under the sun, so sometimes he just walks too many guys. But the K upside is ridiculous with 178 innings pitched and a 208 strikeouts. He has great velocity, great stuff. I love everything Jesus Luzardo brings to the table, even if he stays and repeats exactly what he did, but has more innings and which will equal more Ks, he automatically takes a step up into the next tier where he could be right under or right outside the top 12 or even breaking in, depending on how astronomical that strikeout number is by the end of the season. So Jesus Luzardo is my favorite target to walk away with as a 2, and he has the best price in my opinion because Jesus Luzardo is going with 81st overall, which there's no way that's going to rise. And the 22nd pitcher, I'm not mad at that. Especially having a little bit of being able to take a little bit of a higher bat where other people are taking, the arms and shooting for the upside with the Perez's and Graysons. I'd rather go and get my Luzardo and have a stronger bat.
Yeah, man. I'll say this. I'll use an old Skip Bayless reference. Aliens got the death beam pointed at Earth. I have to pick one guy in this group that's going to be a top 10 starting pitcher this year. It's Jesus Luzardo. He just kind of has the mix of almost the stability and the young upside that where the Bobby Millers, the Perez's, and the Graysons, it's like, okay, they're young. They haven't really done it for a full year. We need to see it. And then you have the older guys that have been around for a little bit, not super old, but, the Gilberts who have been, played their part, the Snells, the Valdezes. I think Jesus Luzardo is the perfect mix for that. And he's a really big target of mine as well this year when it comes to, drafts. He's still only going to be 26. I don't even think we mentioned it. He's going to be 26 this year, Luzardo. We might have a little bit of that fatigue because he's been around for a while, but the upside is super legit. Matt, you broke down all the key points very well, so I'm not going to even go back to those. But I'll move into, my last guy here. And
So Dom's audio is horrendous, and I apologize. His internet is cut out. He is no longer in the room. I am just going to move on. I'm going to talk about my next guy, I guess, since we're waiting. And his oh, hello. His Dom's internet's gone, so we're just going to go right into my haterade, and that's Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease, man. I'm just not a fan. I think that last year is super legitimate what we saw, and I think it's kind of more of what he's actually going to do versus what he did in 2022, where he won the Cy Young. He always has been a high threes, low fours ERA dude. That 2.2 was well overperformed, even though, and you saw it in his FIP that year where he had a 2.2 ERA. His FIP was 3.10. The whip is kind of more on par with it. He just had a really fantastic 2022. Everything came together. That was the upside season that, we really hope to see with, Dylan Cease. I just am surprised that, he wasn't able to, keep that step forward, unfortunately. So with that being said, like, I can't justify the price for him, especially for a guy that just has only done it once. And he's going off the board as what? People's pitcher 3 at 28th pitcher off the board, pick 98. Like, no, thank you. Hey, if you're a truther, you're a truther. I completely get it. I've been a Dylan Cease fan for years, but ultimately, I always knew what he was. I'm going to get a boatload of strikeouts, which is the only legitimate and sticky stat that he's got. I just don't foresee him doing what he did in 2022. I think you're going to be chasing down the wrong alleyway, and unfortunately, he might be held stuck holding the bag essentially. So just don't do it to yourself. Just pass on him. Let somebody else take him. I'd rather him blow up on somebody else's roster than on my own. And I hope you take the same advice. So, unfortunately, Dom's not going to be making it back. His guy is Freddie Peralta. We love all the upside. We love that he was able to do what he did last year. So Freddie Peralta is just going to be fantastic. I think he's going to be strong. I had him ranked pretty high going into this year. So, him at this price, I think is great. So, target Freddie Peralta. Maybe we'll get Dom to come back and rebuttal on it. But, I think he's having some internet problems and he's going to be yelling at a few people. So, guys, thank you for, listening each and every day. Please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review. Don't forget to join the subtext and send us that review so you can get in that listener league and get on that announcement for the 20th. And with all that, guys, have a wonderful day and see you soon.